So far, the equations that we have been solving have been getting more complicated, but they've always had the x's on just one side. Now we will work on solving equations that have x's on both sides. To get around this, what you want to do is add or subtract the x's to move them all to one side. Notice over here I've listed my steps. The first steps, which we covered last video, were simplifying steps. You want to simplify the expressions on both sides of the equal sign by distributing and adding like terms. Here's our new step. Get all your x's on one side, and then your last step are your solving steps, undoing what's been done to the x. In all three of these problems, both of the expressions, one expression on each side of the equal sign, are already simplified. So we're going to be able to skip these two steps in all three of these problems. I'll show you how the x's on one side works. I have a 2x here and a 5x here. I can't just add them together because they're separated by that equal sign. Instead, what I'll do is use an algebra trick to move them to one side or the other. 2x minus 2x is 0, gone. So I have 3 equals 3x minus 9. Notice now it looks just like the equations from last module, the two-step equations. So we're going to go down here and undo what's been done to the x. So go to the side with the x on it, undo minusing 9, so add 9. And then undo that multiply. So to undo multiplying by 3, you'll divide both sides by 3. So you get x equals 4. Notice I have written this equation again. I want to show you that over here on this side, I moved my x's, I subtracted 2x from both sides, so that my x's ended up on this side of the equation. But I want to show you that it's equally as legal to move them to the left side of the equation. To do that, I will minus or subtract 5x. Notice that the two equations that I have written in orange are a little bit different, but they're going to give us the same answer. I'll show you. So now we'll go down to the solving steps. Undo what's been done to the x. Go to the side with the x on it. Undo adding 3, so you subtract 3 from both sides. Then undo timesing by -3, which is to divide by -3. And you'll see that my two answers are the same. So it doesn't matter if I move my x's to the right side of the equation or move them to the left side of the equation, I will still get the same answer. Either way is mathematically legal. But you might find that you do your problem a little bit differently than I do in your work. Let's look at this one. Again, I don't have any distributing or adding like terms. My expressions are both simplified on either side of the equal sign. So now I will get rid of x's on both sides. So I'll put all the x's on one side. So subtract 5x from both sides. Next, go to the side with the x's, undo what's been done to the x. So to undo this +6, I'll subtract 6 from both sides. And to undo timesing by 5, I'll divide by 5 on both sides. So my answer is x equals -2/5. Sometimes it's hard when you're taking notes to know where the different steps are. So I split this one up into steps 1, 2, and 3 so that you can kind of see what each individual step looks like. So step 1. I have x's on both sides. Therefore, I have to get all the x's on one side. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides. Again, what will happen here, negative 4x plus 4x, that's going to add up to be 0. So those are going to disappear. So all I'll have left is 2 equals 6x plus 14. Okay, so I've written that over here. So now what's the next step going to be? Well, I have a two-step equation here. I have an x that's been multiplied by something and added something. So I'm just going to do my undo steps. I'm going to go to the side with the x and undo what's been done to x. So I'm going to undo, or do the opposite of adding 14, which is to subtract 14. So which brings me to step 3, my final step. I want to undo what's been done to the x. I want to undo timesing by 6. So I'm going to divide by 6. So I get x equals negative 2. Again, it's nice to have it spread out like this in your notes so that if you're not sure of what to do, you can go back and see it written out step by step. At this point, stop your video and practice these 3 practice problems. Then, if you get them, fast forward the video to check your answers. If you don't understand them, unpause the video to see how to do the problems. So in all 3 of these problems, my expressions on either side of the equal sign are already simplified. So I don't have to do any simplifying steps. I'm just going to get the x's on one side. So to move the 5x, I'll subtract 5x from both sides. You'll notice I'm now left with just a 2-step equation. Go to the side with the x and undo what's been done to the x. Add 10 to both sides. Think money, lose 4, win 10, you're now 6 to the good. Negative 10 and positive 10 add up to be 0, so that's gone. Go to the side with the x. Undo timesing by negative 2. The opposite of timesing by negative 2 is to divide by negative 2. Next problem. Both my expressions are already simplified, so now I can get all my x's on one side. I'm going to move them all over to the right side. Positive 4x and negative 4x add up to be 0, so that's gone. Remember, when an x doesn't have a coefficient, its coefficient is 1. So this is 1x minus 4x. Think money. You had $1, you lose 4. Now you're 3 in the hole, negative 3x. I'm down to just a 2-step equation. So I want to undo what's been done to the x. Go to the side with the x. To undo adding 5, I subtract 5. Think money. My final undo step, to undo timesing by negative 3, I want to divide by negative 3. X equals 2/3. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. Next example. Both of my expressions are already simplified. So now I can work on getting all the x's on one side. So I'll subtract 3x from both sides. Now I'm down to a 2-step equation. I have an x on one side that has 2 things done to it. So I'm going to undo those things. Go to the side with the x, undo what's been done to the x. The opposite of subtracting 7 is adding 7. And I'm going to undo timesing by 2, so I'll divide both sides by 2. X equals 0.